That plant you walked past this morning, the one with the curled leaves and the sticky residue climbing the stems, you already know exactly how this story ends. Give it 2 more weeks and you will be standing in the garden center reading the back of a bottle, trying to decide between 3 products that all cost $12 and make the same vague promise. I did that for more than 20 years, bought the bottles, sprayed the plants, watched the pests come back 2 weeks later like nothing happened, bought more bottles. Every single season, the same war, the same weapons, and somehow the same slow defeat. Then, I spent time in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and everything I thought I knew about pest control fell apart. 44,000 people in that county have been growing food on the same plots of land for over 300 years. Same soil, same families, not one bottle of synthetic pesticide in the entire history of their community, not one. And their gardens do not just survive the summer, they produce abundantly, cleanly, season after season, on land that should by now be exhausted and overrun. Researchers at Penn State, Cornell, and Auburn University are now confirming in peer-reviewed studies what those families figured out through 3 centuries of quiet observation. Stay with me to the very end of this video, because the last technique I am going to share comes directly from Amish dairy farming tradition, and I have genuinely never seen it mentioned in any gardening book, any university extension publication, or anywhere else in this niche. It uses something sitting in your refrigerator right now. It has hard science behind it, going back to a study that most American gardeners have never encountered. And once you understand the biology of why it works, you will never look at a wilting plant the same way again. Here is the piece of information that cracked this entire subject open for me, and it is a story worth knowing in full. His name was John Kemp. He grew up on a small fruit and vegetable farm in Northeast Ohio. His father was the regional pesticide distributor. Their family was the one that tried every new chemical product first and then recommended it to surrounding farms. So they were spraying more than almost anyone in the region, and between 2002 and 2004, they lost 70% of their 4 primary crops 3 years running. Every product available to them, every application schedule the manufacturers recommended, and still the plants were being destroyed. Insects were eating them alive, and the chemicals were not stopping it. Then in 2004, the Kemp family rented a neighboring field from a dairy farmer. That field had never once been sprayed. It had been in a simple 4-year rotation of corn, small grains, and hay. They planted cantaloupe across both plots at the same time, same variety, same planting date, same fertilizer, with the rows running straight across the property line between the 2 soils. At harvest, on the Kemp family's intensively treated soil, 80% of leaves were covered in powdery mildew. On the dairy farmer's untreated soil, there was 0 infection, not 5%, not a trace. You could see a clean knife line running down the middle of that field where the 2 soils met. Identical plants, 2 feet apart, one destroyed, one perfectly healthy. Kemp was 18 years old and had an 8th grade education. He walked into his local public library and started reading university textbooks, biology, plant physiology, agronomy, soil chemistry. He ordered research volumes from Germany and France through interlibrary loan. For 2 years, he consumed everything he could find. And what he discovered rewrites how most of us understand the relationship between soil, plants, and the insects that feed on them. Plants have an immune system, not a metaphor for one, a literal, multi-layered immune system that responds to mineral nutrition the same way our own immune system responds to sleep and diet. When a plant has the right balance of iron, manganese, copper, zinc, and nitrogen in the correct molecular form, it achieves what researchers call complete photosynthesis. When that happens, it converts all of its available soluble nitrates into complete proteins. And here is the part that changes everything you have ever been told about controlling pests. Larval insects, caterpillars, hornworms, loopers, and sucking insects like aphids, whiteflies, and thrips cannot digest complete proteins. Their digestive systems are too primitive. They evolved specifically to feed on soluble nitrates. So when a plant is mineral healthy enough to convert all of its available nitrogen into protein, the pest lands on it, attempts to feed, gets nothing it can process, and leaves. The plant has not killed anything, it has not repelled anything, it has simply removed the food source at a cellular level. The aphid is sitting on an abundant plant and starving to death. And this transformation in the plant can begin within 24 to 48 hours of the right minerals becoming available in the root zone. Kemp founded a company called Advancing Eco-Agriculture in 2006. By 2024, he was advising farmers on over 4 million acres across North America. Research published in Frontiers in Plant Science confirmed that mineral balance directly modulates the immune enzymes inside plants, triggering systemic resistance pathways that create measurably stronger cell walls and higher concentrations of natural defensive compounds. The Amish had been observing this outcome for 300 years without the scientific vocabulary to describe the mechanism. Kemp gave them the mechanism. The science caught up to the tradition. So here is your foundation. Every spring, before you transplant a single seedling, spread 2 to 3 inches of well-aged compost across your beds and work it into the top 4 to 6 inches of soil. If you can source compost that includes aged horse or cow manure, all the better. The Amish have always composted their animal waste through winter and applied it every spring. That combination of decomposed plant material and aged manure creates a soil microbiome rich and diverse enough to unlock the mineral absorption pathways that make plants genuinely resistant at the cellular level. The word that matters here is consistency. One season will not transform your soil. 2 or 3 seasons of annual additions will. The Amish have been building the same plots this way for generations. I started doing it 4 years ago, and the difference in my tomato and pepper plants is visible to anyone who walks through the garden. Thicker stems, deeper green, and when the occasional aphid shows up, it rarely stays. Zones 3 through 5 get the compost down 3 to 4 weeks before your last frost date, so the soil biology is awake before transplanting. Zones 7 through 9 you can start in late winter. Now, the second layer of this is where the Amish approach starts to look genuinely unlike anything in a conventional gardening guide, and it is the technique that made me feel the most foolish for missing it for so long. Most American gardens are planted in single crop rows. Tomatoes here, beans there, squash along the far edge. It looks organized, and harvesting is efficient. But to a pest navigating by scent, a long uniform row of one plant is a highway with no obstacles and a neon sign at every intersection. Amish gardeners mix everything up deliberately. They interplant aromatic herbs and flowers directly among their vegetables because most garden pests find their targets by smell. Aphids, cabbage moths, hornworms, cucumber beetles, they all navigate by following the chemical signals that host plants release into the air. When you surround those host plants with strong aromatic companions, you create what entomologists call olfactory confusion. The pest literally cannot locate your tomatoes because the basil, the marigolds, and the dill are drowning out every signal it depends on. It is like trying to track one specific voice in a stadium full of screaming fans. The signal disappears. For every 3 to 4 tomato plants, tuck in one basil plant approximately 8 to 10 inches from the base. Basil repels aphids, whiteflies, and hornworms. The Amish have planted these two together for generations. Between rows of cabbage, broccoli, or kale, plant dill or cilantro every 12 to 14 inches. These repel cabbage moths and imported cabbage worms. But here is the second layer of that strategy. When the dill and cilantro flower, they attract parasitic wasps and hoverflies, insects that are voracious predators of the very caterpillars and aphids you are trying to keep away from your brassicas. You are simultaneously repelling one pest population and recruiting their natural enemies. Two systems run at the same time from the same plant. Along the borders of your beds, plant French marigolds, not the large African varieties, the smaller French ones, about 10 to 12 inches apart. Their roots release a compound called alpha-terphenyl into the surrounding soil, which suppresses root knot nematodes. Their scent above ground deters whiteflies and squash bugs. Multiple agricultural universities have confirmed the nematode-suppressing effect in controlled trials. The Amish refined this practice over generations. The science confirmed the chemistry later. This next piece is the one that challenged my entire approach for the first 2 decades I spent gardening. And I suspect it challenges most people who come from a conventional background. A healthy garden is not a garden with no insects. A healthy garden is one with the right balance of insects. There is a profound difference, and that difference defines whether you are working with nature or perpetually fighting against it. A single ladybug eats up to 50 aphids in one day. One lacewing larva consumes 200 aphids in its short lifetime. Parasitic wasps lay their eggs inside hornworms and cabbage worms, destroying them from the inside out before the damage is visible to you. Ground beetles patrol the soil surface every night, hunting slugs, cutworms, and grubs while you sleep. These creatures are your pest control team. They work around the clock, and they do not ask for anything except habitat and a food source. And every time you spray, even with an organic product, you remove the food source that keeps them in your garden and break the cycle that was already managing the problem for you. The Amish build their gardens specifically to keep beneficial insects employed. The method is called an insectary strip, and it requires almost no space. Along one border of your garden, plant a row roughly 2 feet wide with sweet alyssum at the front. It stays low and blooms all season long. Behind it, alternate yarrow and dill about 10 inches apart. Add fennel at the back if you have room. The goal is continuous bloom from spring through fall, so there is always nectar available. Give beneficial insects a reason to stay, and they will patrol every row of your garden. Take that reason away, and they find somewhere else to live. The Amish also leave small sections of their property intentionally unmowed. A clover patch near the garden, an uncut strip along the fence line, a flat pile of stones where ground beetles can shelter through the heat of the day. These are not signs of neglect, they are deliberate habitat. If your garden is perfectly manicured with bare soil between every row, you have effectively posted a no vacancy sign for every creature that works in your favor. The habit that connects all of this is the one that sounds the most old-fashioned. And that is precisely why it works better than anything in a bottle. Every Amish gardener I spoke with in Lancaster County mentioned the morning walk the same way they mentioned feeding the animals. It is not a chore. It is how you stay ahead of everything. Every morning before the heat sets in, you walk every row slowly. You bring a small bucket with a couple inches of water and a drop of plain dish soap. You turn over leaves. You check the undersides of squash foliage. You run your eyes along every stem. When you find a pest, you drop it in the bucket.